Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be about trial right when it comes to a Medigap plan. Now, I'm going to read a little bit about what a trial right is, but let me give you just the layman's terms about a trial right. So a trial right is basically you're on a Medigap plan. You've never had a Medicare Advantage plan and you want to try it out. You go to a Medicare Advantage plan. Within 1 year, you can say, you know what, I don't like this plan or whatever the case is, and go back to that Medicare Medigap plan, that Medicare supplement plan. So now I'm going to read, that's what it is. Let me read it to you. Trial right. You dropped a Medigap policy to join a Medicare Advantage plan or to switch to a Medicare Select policy. For the first time, you've been in the plan less than a year and you want to switch back. Same difference. So, and here is, you have the right to buy the Medigap policy you had before you joined the Medicare Advantage plan or Medicare Select policy if the same insurance company you had before still sells it. So, if your former Medigap policy isn't available, you can buy Medigap Plan A through L that's sold in your state by an insurance company. Now, you can apply for a Medigap policy if as early as 60 calendar days before the date your coverage will end, but no later than 63 calendar days after your coverage ends. Your rights may last for an extra 12 months under certain circumstances. So that's a trial right. So we're going to have a phone call with somebody who wants to exercise their trial right, per se, and go back to a Medicare policy. So thanks for watching, and here's the interview. Hey Mark, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. This conversation is being recorded for legal, marketing, and educational purposes.
Okay.
So Mark, I guess the question that I have is, what you're actually wanting to do is called a trial right. I don't know if you knew that.
No, what does that mean?
So a trial right is basically you're on a Medigap plan and you go to a Medicare Advantage plan and you have 1 year to go back to that Medicare supplement plan or Medigap plan, and it's called a trial right.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I called the company that you're with, and you have to, reapply, but you just put a note on there that, you're doing your trial right and that you had this plan before, and they look it up and there's no underwriting. They don't really, so you have to fill out the forms, but it doesn't really matter. It's almost like like you're going on Medicare for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
But what I really wanted to, there's a couple questions that I had. So first off, how Medicare, explain Medicare, like how it's treated you. You like it, you dislike it, you like original Medicare. Like, what are your thoughts on Medicare itself?
Well, first of all, when I'm 71, so it's been on this for 6 years. When I went on Medicare, it was a godsend. But anyone knows this, that given the cost of health care these days, Medicare is very affordable given any alternatives that you have.
Yeah.
Unless you have to be on some employer's plan and they have to pay all the premiums and things like that. So in terms of affordability, it's been great. In terms of coverage, I've never had a problem with doctors accepting Medicare. I mean, I've heard people say, oh, some doctors may not accept any new patients or people with Medicare. I've never seen that. I've never personally experienced that. So it's been very positive.
Yeah. And that's, so you said you've been on for 6 years?
Yes, I'm 65, so yeah, 6 years now.
So out of 6 years, you've never had a doctor say, I don't accept Medicare?
Correct.
I think that's the case with most people, but I'm glad that you had the same thing.
Yes, yeah.
And so you had a Medigap plan. What are some of the things that you were surprised that you got done that you didn't have to pay for, or those type of things?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because you don't pay enough attention to it until you in my case, until I decided to go to Medicare Advantage, and all of a sudden you realize what you had to pay for that you kind of just took for granted before. But certainly going to the doctor, the biggest thing for me is that I know that I pay a monthly premium, but I don't have to pay to go to the doctor. Now, I don't take advantage of it, but I don't want to find myself in a situation and say, it's going to cost me $40 to go. I don't know if I want to spend that money. When you're Medicare and you don't have to pay to see the doctor and you have a concern, just say, I want to go see the doctor, and you call them up and make an appointment. That's so important because you don't want to be cheap on yourself. Plus, there may be something happening that you may not be aware of. The doctor may find out. So it is so critical to have that peace of mind to know that you don't have to pay to go to see the doctor. When I had arthroscopic surgery for my left knee, there was, I think everything was covered by my insurance. I mean, I didn't pay much attention to if I had to pay a bill or not. If I did, it was just minimal amount. And so that's what Medicare and the supplement took care of.
And you had the Plan G.
Yes, Plan G seems to be a highly recommended plan, type of plan.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they take care of a lot, if not everything, and that's part of why you have that monthly premium. Pay that. So.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, I needed to when I wanted an MRI done on my left knee. Then I had it done, and I had the operation. Then down the road, I don't know how many months, 6 months, whatever, it started bothering me again. Plus, I wanted to check out my right knee, and I scheduled, made an MRI done of it. It didn't cost me anything. And again, I wasn't taking advantage of it. I wasn't trying to be, let's do that, just on a whim. But I didn't hesitate to have that done because I knew it would be taken care of and paid for by the Medicare supplement.
Yeah, which is important. I mean, people.
Absolutely, because the last thing you want to say to yourself is, "Oh, gee, I wish I would have seen the doctor earlier."
Yeah.
And then it's too late by that time.
Yeah. Well, I pay for private insurance myself, and what I didn't realize about my private insurance is I threw out my back in October, and I'm on the ground, and I'm trying. I mean, I couldn't get off the ground, and I asked my son to bring me my wallet so I could call the insurance company and see if an ambulance was covered. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I was in so much pain. I'm on the ground. I can't get up. But the funny thing is when I called, it wasn't covered. So luckily, I have an 18-year-old who can pick me up off the ground,
Yeah.
And so he drove me to the hospital, and then what happened was the total bills. So I went to the hospital, and then I had X-rays. I ended up getting an MRI. I went to doctors. I went to specialists. And the overall was $3,000 something, and I didn't realize I was on the type of plan where it's a reimbursement plan.
Right.
So you have to send them the bills, and then they send you a check, and then you pay the doctors. Well, I freaked out because I kept seeing all these.
Did you have to pay it first and then submit the bill for reimbursement?
No. I mean, no. You just had to give them the bill.
Okay. Well, sometimes you may have to pay first, and then you have to seek reimbursement.
Yeah, which is another thing that might freak you out, paying first.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Medicare supplement, where you just you pay a monthly fee, you have the G plan, you go in and you just do whatever you want.
The thing for anyone to remember, this is insurance. So you're paying a monthly premium in case something happens.
Yeah.
And it may never happen. Quite honestly, we don't really want it to happen, whatever it is, to happen.
Yeah.
But if we had the mindset, gee whiz, I didn't use it, and then why did I pay for that? But then, and I was in that situation this year too. All of a sudden, I even thought about it last year when I made the switch. I thought, everything's fine with me. Then all of a sudden, my neck started hurting. I went to an orthopedic doctor, and then I'm in physical therapy. But I'm going twice a week. And that could end for how many months, and that could add up. And this year, all of a sudden, having problems with my hip, and they go to the doctor, and oh man, do I need a replacement, this and that. And so this is why you have insurance.
Yeah.
Because it kind of covers you in case you need it. Even if you may never need it, it's still important to know that you have it. Because you can never predict these things. You can never predict them.
No, and it's not until you have bad insurance that you start to think, you know what, I wish I had good insurance, I would just use it.
Oh, yeah, but you have to pay sometimes for good insurance, too.
Yeah.
You don't know, no one, but that's why we said read the fine line, right, the fine print. We don't know this until you have to use it.
So what were some of the things
that you've become very valuable, Brian, quite honestly, is because you've done a lot of research and you know one plan versus another, and you save that effort and that worry from me, and a lot of us.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? I always say, you know what's funny? It's not funny, but what... Just from personal experience, because I have friends in the industry, and we talk about this stuff, but personal experience from me, people like yourself call me and tell me their stories. I had one guy who, I think he had an F plan back when that was around, but let's just say he had a G. I mean, either or. He basically was going to the veterans hospital, and he said they misdiagnosed him. And I said, well, why didn't you go to the best hospital? Why don't you just pick and choose what doctors, what hospitals you want to go to? You're paying for this fantastic coverage. You can go wherever you want. And he's like, I didn't know, I wasn't sure, I just figured why not go over there? That's where I've always gone. And he had like prostate cancer or something. He has it. And now he started going to like, I think Penn Medicine or whatever it is. And he's like, this is a different story. And I'm like, yeah, you're paying this money for your Medicare coverage. Use it. Go to the best, whoever you want to go to.
Right.
So that's a small story. And then of course I have all other stories where people went and they went to, they had a problem and they had to go and, like you said, get a hip replacement or get, tons of things. So many people, because I've been doing this for so many years, the cancers, the heart attacks, strokes. I mean, one of the things that I learned is I always knew strokes were bad, but everyone hears the term heart attack. To me, that, I always thought that's the worst thing. Well, a stroke can, bankrupt anybody because of the after effects, the physical therapy. You could be in a wheelchair, all that stuff. So
Right.
So I actually do have clients that had stroke, and the benefits to them is just unbelievable as opposed to some of the other plans. If they're on a G plan or something, it's just great. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you. So, when you called me, you went from you were on a Medigap plan for 5 years.
Correct.
And then you were on a Medicare Advantage for 3 months?
Yeah.
So what is it that about the Medicare Advantage that made you think I want to go back?
Well, so when I was talking to because I was having problems with my left leg, I went to an orthopedic doctor. He took a X-ray of it and he said, Mark, at some point you're going to need to have a hip replacement. So I called Humana, my Medicare Advantage company, and they said, okay, well, the surgery itself is $200. The hospital stay is $250 per night, at least for the first 7 days. Physical therapy will be somewhere like $20 if it's at a physical therapy place versus $40 if it's at the hospital. That could add up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So before you know it, so I'm thinking originally when I went to Medicare Advantage, oh great, I'm probably, combined with prescription, I'm probably saving $185. Even if I were to make it $200 per month, well, once that surgery alone, that's equivalent to 1 month, but now you're talking about hospital stay, that's another physical therapy, that's a third month, so again, you don't know these things until you need it. So $200, again, I'll raise it up. Let's say $200 may sound a lot compared to zero premium under Medicare Advantage, unless you need it. And then you realize, holy cow. Now, mine was a PPO. So you go with the HMO, but you have to be within network. Well, the orthopedic doctor wasn't in network. Well, for either for the PPO, but the plan I have, it's the same cost whether it's in network or out of network. You just have to pay the doctor first, they get reimbursed for real pain.
Yeah.
With HMO, you're restricted. But anyway, it was realizing, and I never would have predicted this, but I think it's the expression penny wise, pound foolish. If you think about it, I'm probably going to, look, that could be the only thing that may happen to me this whole year, and I still could have been maybe financially better off with the Medicare Advantage, but you just don't know. And then as you get older, and my wife was telling me this, Mark Kissel, and my brother too, think about it, Mark, as you get older, more things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So maybe early on I would have been better off Medicare Advantage, but there's something to be said about paying per month and then not worrying about the bills, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's my.
Yeah. Well, it's true. So, I mean, is the coverage even? Is it less coverage? You know, I mean, the payment seems like it's going to be somewhat.
I don't think it's. I mean, there's this old thing about pre-authorization. At least with the Medicare Advantage, I don't know about the supplement, but I think everything, I guess might be covered. Maybe, well, I don't know, maybe not. I haven't really explored that.
So wait a minute, you have to go and get pre-authorization for
some things, like, I think for whatever it is, some things you have to check first. Of course, the doctor should check it to make sure they would consider it medically necessary, et cetera. Because, look, let's face it, insurance company, it's to their advantage not to have to insure something, right? Because then they have to pay out.
Yeah.
That may happen more with Medicare Advantage than it does with.
Yeah, probably why that happens is because Medicare Advantage is 100% a private company. The private company is actually your insurance. You're not.
Yep.
You're not really with Medicare per se. I mean, the private company's paying for it. They're getting subsidized by the government, but the government's not making any decisions on it. But the Medicare supplement or Medigap plan is the government. That's they're the first in line, and the government pays. That the doctors don't have it right now. That 2020 or even 2010 to 2020, there's never been a problem with the doctor getting his money for doing anything.
Right.
That he felt was, that is approved. I mean, when they say medical approved for Medicare, there's like a list or a chart or a code where if it's on that code, then it is what it is. They don't ask any questions. They just pay.
Yeah. I'll give you another, again, I don't know if apples or oranges. For instance, I just went for vision. So I was able to have my eyes checked for free because the Medicare Advantage I had. But then I needed new lenses. I don't keep the frames. Then even if I wanted to do frames. So I went to the place, because where I did it, my eye exam does not do lenses and frames. So I went to the place where I had gone in the past. And he said, Mark, your plan only covers 10%, whereas before it covered $100, a decent amount of money. So, you don't know these things until you come to it, that you need it. So, I don't know whether it washes out or not, but I tell you what, for me, it was important, and I said this to myself beforehand, not to be cheap on myself. I want to say, I don't know if I want to go to that doctor because I really want to pay $40. It sounds ridiculous because it's only $40, but that's what may go through your mind if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And anyway, the notion that, hey, I want to not hesitate to go to the doctor because it's going to cost me money.
Yeah.
That's the key thing, at least for me. It might be for others too.
Well, another thing that I might have mentioned to you before, but I definitely talk about it now. So I always say to people, if you've been in this business long enough, all the guys that I know that have been in 10, 15, 20 years plus, we've all seen certain things where we're like, wow, this is, it goes around in a circle. So for instance, right now, you are probably on the best Medicare Advantage plan I have ever seen. And there's many of them, because when you were choosing your Medicare Advantage, I know you did a side-by-side and really did your homework, but there was a few plans that were almost just as good as the one you chose. There were really good plans right now. They're PPOs. There's really great benefits that come along with them. So, for instance, you can have a 0 premium PPO right now, like you said, which means you can go to any doctor. You might have to pay a little bit more if it's outside the network, but you can still go.
Right.
Let's say 5 years ago, I don't know if there was PPOs, but they were expensive. They were like $150, and when you did a side-by-side with the Medigap plans, it was a no-brainer. Why would you get this PPO when you can get a Medigap and there's no questions asked?
Yeah.
But right now, the Medicare Advantage are, 0 premium, PPOs, they give you extra benefits. But what people don't realize is, so the G plan, which has been around for, over 10 years, that policy never changes. A G plan 8 years ago is still the same G plan it is now. Mm-hmm. And if you get on it, it's not going to change. Your plan that you have now can change. So right. they can say, well, you know what, we're not going to cover a hip replacement, or we're not going to cover, out of network doctors were $40. Now they're, now they're $80, or whatever it is. So that's another thing that the people like yourself now that are on them, this is the best I've ever seen it for Medicare Advantage.
Yes, no, this one, the one I'm on, and by the way, interestingly, the price for out-of-network is the same as the price in-network.
That's right. I mean, so this has never been seen before. I mean, maybe 20 years ago or something, but not in the last 10 or 15 years.
But here's the key thing. Suppose it does change down the road. This is fairly new. I cannot necessarily, and if I start having problems, it may be difficult for me to go back to, I won't be able to go back after that year.
If you have medical problems, you'll go, if you go through underwriting, which means they'll ask you a bunch of health questions, and if they don't like the answers, they don't have to accept you into a Medigap plan. Yeah.
So could it be that maybe no Medigap plan could accept the person? I don't know what happens then. Yeah,
I mean, let's say you didn't go back this year to the Medigap plan.
Yeah.
And you have 1 year, so you're way ahead of the game. But let's say you didn't go back. You thought, I don't know. And then next year you got cancer, and you started going to treatments, and you said, you know what? Oh, this is too much money, or this is the out-of-pocket cost, or I can't go to this doctor, whatever the case may be, and you wanted to go back to Medigap, you're not going back.
It could be the case you're saying that no Medicare Medigap plans could take a person.
That's right. They don't have to, and they won't.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why this trial right is the correct term of it, but I call it like one-time look. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. It turns out to be very valuable. I would, if I didn't have this situation, I'd still be on the Medicare Advantage, but
yeah.
But anyway, so but as my wife says, as you get older, you get more ailments, you get more stuff going on. So
yeah, it's tough. I mean, some people. I have a woman who I talk to a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean, maybe 5 times a year. And she's, I forget her age. I want to say 85, but that might be too much. Maybe 82. But she was going to do the same thing. I think I told you a story, and she actually got on a Medicare Advantage. I told her, you have that 1 year look. And she got on, and then she panicked and canceled it. She said, no, I'm not, I'm not doing it. And then she said, I don't know why, but it's the money, at her age. But if you look at the money, I mean, even if, you're paying $400, let's say, for a Medigap plan, Well, you're paying another 100 to the government, so 500 a month. I mean, yes, it's 6,000 a year, which is a lot of money, but it's still, if you're going to the hospital and doctor and getting hip replacements and surgery or whatever you're doing, and you're going wherever you want, it's peace of mind. If you can afford that kind of money, you can't beat it. Right.
On the Medigap, Medicare Advantage, you're still paying the portion, was it Plan A, whatever it is, with the government, right?
Yes, you're always paying that, no matter what. Whatever it's not Part A. Part A, as long as you work 40 quarters or 10 years, you won't have to pay Part A. If you don't work the 40 quarters, or if your spouse doesn't work the 40 quarters, that type of thing. I think, I think the spouse has something to do with it. But let's just say you don't work the 40 quarters. Then you have to pay a fee to the government. But Part A is free. Part B goes by your income from 2 years prior. So, so then, there's different, I think the 2020, the lowest or the average or whatever they do it as, I think is 145 and some change, maybe 146. It was, what was it last year? 138 or something? 135? I forget.
When I was on private plan, it was over like $1,200 a month. So.
No, I meant the Part B.
Oh yeah.
It's like 142 or 145. You're still going to pay that on Medicare Advantage, and you're going to pay that on Medigap. You're going to pay it no matter what. So that's that's the only thing that you're definitely going to pay. But then the Part D plan with the Medicare Advantage, they could charge you for that or not. With the Medigap plan, you're going to pay, but you get more choices as far as plans. So if you don't take drugs, you could get on a plan for $15 or something like that. If you do take them, then you can pick and choose with a Medigap plan which company you want to go with. And there's probably about 30 companies in most people's areas. But with the Medicare Advantage, you have to get their drug plan. So, anyway. I
can run here. Go ahead.
No, it's a good explanation of what trial right is, because a lot of people I'm seeing, you get to that point, and it's usually someone who turned 75 years old or above, because the Medigap plan starts to get more and more expensive. And even if they have little health problems where they can't switch to another company, they want to look at that Medicare Advantage. And this year, I had to really tell people, look, these plans were fantastic, this year. If they stayed this way, if they were guaranteed when you got in to always stay this way, I'd say go for it to a lot of people. But I've had complaints of Medicare Advantage plans in the past. And so I just always tell people, look, this is what they are. They can change. But, Medigap plans never change. If you're on a G plan in 2020, 2030, that same G plan, even if it goes away, if the government gets rid of it, you're grandfathered in.
Yep.
So you know what you have, and it's not going to change.
Yep.
So that is the one good thing about it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. I know this is going to help a lot of people because I get asked these questions, and it's good to hear it from somebody
my pleasure.
Who's going through it. So I'll give you a call back, Mark, and we'll go over everything, in your case.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it, Brian.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Take care. Okay, so there you have it. Someone who went from a Medigap plan to a Medicare Advantage plan. They're utilizing what is called a trial right. Choosing a Medigap policy, the booklet. Let's see if I can hold it up so you can see exactly what the booklet looks. Looks like, but let's see. Okay. There it is. That's what it looks like. See if I can turn it there. Most people get this when they get a Medigap policy, or you can even get it from the CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. But in this booklet, they have that trial right, so you can look at it for yourselves, or you can always contact me at medigaplist.com, which the link will be below, and I can answer any of your questions. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you at the next one.